Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories, where today, my fiance is angry that I bought my own daughter 5 pairs of running shoes. My fiance has 3 kids with her ex, while I only have 1 kid with my ex, my daughter who's 14. My daughter is a state qualifying cross-country and track runner. This means that her training schedule is rather intense, with her weekly mileage reaching into the high 70s and low 80s. At her most recent sports physical, I asked her doctor how often I should be replacing her running shoes because I'm sure they get worn out very quickly with the amount of miles that she runs each week. Her doctor recommended switching the shoes out every 6 months, as well as getting 2 pairs of shoes so we can switch out the pair she's wearing every other day or so. However, her shoes may need to get replaced earlier depending on how intense her weeks get. After the appointment, I took my daughter out to a few athletic stores so she could pick out a few pairs of shoes. I told her to pick out 4 pairs of running shoes, 2 for track season and 2 for cross country. Then I told her to pick out a pair of spikes for her races. I spent over $300 for her shoes. When we came home, my fiance saw the bags my daughter was holding, and my daughter excitedly told her about the new shoes she had gotten. My fiance stayed quiet until later that night while we were getting ready for bed, and she started yelling at me for being irresponsible and a horrible person to her own kids. She said that she was very mad because I should also get her kids shoes if I'm spending over $300 for my daughter. I mentioned that we agreed we would each provide for our own kids on our own, and her kids don't play any sports. They all sit in their rooms all day on their electronics. Even when I try to buy them something, they never say thank you or appreciate what I get them. She got even angrier, and now she hasn't talked to me still. It's been 2 weeks. How do I handle her anger towards me for not getting her kids shoes when I got my daughter's shoes? Gee, I got an idea for you. How about you break up with her, dude? Running shoes for track are not a gift. They're school supplies. If she played hockey, would the fiance yell at you about the pads and gear? I'm just blown away that he got 4 pairs of running shoes for only $300. Am I the jerk for telling my family that they never cared about my birthday before? Why should it matter now? I'm 18, female. My parents divorced when I was about 6. It was a 50-50 custody split, with my mom wasting no time to get remarried to my stepdad. My stepdad had kids already: Alex, 15 male, Violet, 16 female, and Mabel, 17 female. I was relentlessly bullied by them for various things I couldn't control: having a speech impediment, having less expensive clothes, only being able to see my dad on weekends, etc. My mom and stepdad didn't do anything to stop it and essentially told me, "Kids will be kids," then kept it pushing. My mom would lightly scold Violet and Mabel if they ended up hurting me while we were playing, but wouldn't do anything more. I had to watch as they got far more expensive gifts for birthdays and Christmas, and actually what they wanted from their wish list, while I got the bare minimum of necessities and would only get something I actually wanted from my dad, but he could only go so far due to making 2 times less what my stepdad makes. I appreciated it nonetheless. I didn't even get to properly enjoy my cake because my step-siblings ate it all before I could even get seconds. I was never allowed a party because my friends were too messy and loud. Around age 10, I pretty much stopped expecting them to put effort into my birthday, and I just kind of let it pass by whenever I was with them. Yesterday was my 18th birthday, and I decided to spend it with my friends, boyfriend, and my dad. I was pretty much out all day and came back at around nearly 10 p.m. My mom was waiting for me with my stepdad and pretty much blew up on me for not spending the day with them. Apparently, they prepared a small celebration for me that got wasted because I wasn't there. They were both going off on me for being inconsiderate and ungrateful. In the middle of their little rant, I just snapped that they never cared about my birthday all these years. Why should this one matter now? They were in shock, and that gave me an opportunity to go to my room and sleep. I woke up to texts from my grandparents and aunt saying I was disrespectful for saying that and ungrateful for anything my mom and stepdad did for me. Edit. Just to be clear, I put my step-siblings' current ages within the post, not the ages when they were bullying me. It made sense to me when I made this post, but I understand how it could be confusing. Your stepdad probably told your mom that she was responsible for you and he wouldn't provide anything extra. Meanwhile, she was probably reaping the child support benefits off your dad, so he couldn't afford to buy anything extra special for you. You are 18 now. Just move in with your dad if you can. You should also write down your feelings and leave it for your mom and stepdad to read. I doubt they will give you a chance to say it all face to face. Not the jerk. Also, that's pretty much what happened with me and my stepdad. Except my stepdad wouldn't let my mom get a job because he wanted a housewife, and the only money my mom received was child support from my dad, which she promptly used on my older siblings. I was the only one that still lived at home at the time. After I moved out and started living on my own, Christmas gatherings were always still majorly disproportionate. Step-siblings would get at least $1,000 in items, if not more. I might get $50 to $100 maybe. I was grateful for what I got, but can't say it still didn't sting a little. Then he later on gifted me a $10,000 car, and my step-siblings were mad. They got gifted houses, that he gave me anything like that. I never actually resented my stepdad, to be honest. I just resented my mom a little for putting me in that position. Like, couldn't she have had separate Christmas gift opening sessions? I don't know. As far as my father goes, well, I grew up wishing my mom would finally divorce him so I didn't have to live with him anymore. If that answers that question. Probably why I never really resented my stepdad. Am I the jerk for not preparing my pregnant wife food? My wife is 5 months pregnant and has started to feel hungry a lot. She's recovering from throwing up constantly, and now it's just once or twice a week. We both work from home. I try to do the majority of household chores, cooking, dishes, laundry, cleaning, breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. Though it's a small apartment and no kids, so it's not really much work. And we typically just have milk and bread for breakfast, which I bring to her in bed. She helps with cooking whenever she's feeling good, and very lately she started to cook more than me. Otherwise, I cook the dinner with often some assistance from her, cutting onions, etc. We save the dinner for lunch next day. It goes well most of the time. The problem is that my wife keeps complaining to me that she's hungry and I haven't fed her. I do offer snacks like bananas, fruits, and nuts, but she says she's looking for some real food because she's really hungry. When I ask her, what do you want me to make, she often doesn't have an answer and tells me she doesn't know, but she's hungry. If I offer to make something, say soup or boiled potatoes, she shoots it down for one reason or the other. It's carbs and not good. It's too light and she's too hungry, etc. This gets me visibly frustrated. Today, she agreed to a serving of watermelon, which I cut and served. While cutting it, I asked her to tell me what she wants to eat because she will start complaining in a while that she's hungry and I can't immediately have something ready to eat because it takes preparation. She said she's good for a while and didn't entertain my question. As predicted, when I visited her room in an hour or so after work, she started pouting that she's hungry and I didn't feed her anything since lunch throughout the day. This made me a bit angry because I did feed her the melon and some dry snacks. It just wasn't a proper food. Moreover, I had asked her what she wanted to eat for this very reason, and she had refused to answer then. I told her she's expecting too much from me, both figuring out what to make and to make it. I asked her to at least take responsibility for figuring out what she wants to eat and letting me know in advance. She felt like I was invalidating her and then said, "Okay, won't tell you anything from now on," pouting. I got annoyed and I left the room. Am I the jerk? Make freezer meals or your own frozen meals. OP. Oh, she refuses to eat anything remotely unhealthy. That includes takeout, let alone frozen meals. So unfortunately, frozen cooked food is a no-go. Thanks for suggestions though. Everyone sucks here because it sounds like neither of you is eating real food. OP. Dinner with rice plus veggies and lentils or meat. Same thing for lunch the next day. Fruits and dry fruits. Milk and bread or cereal for breakfast, and sometimes eggs. Is this not good? We both have pretty small appetites. Well, at least it used to be. I'm glad to have made the post. It was an outlet for my frustrations, which helped me become calm again. I also learned that our diet is likely inadequate, so having a conversation with wife regarding that. I get to learn some different perspectives, also a good thing. I now got motivation to make some meals unasked and see how it goes. All in all, making this post was useful. I agree it's not a big conflict that often gets posted here, but it's still a conflict where I'm unsure if I'm doing anything wrong. Nevertheless, glad to have posted. Update. First things first, I feel I may have unintentionally cast my wife in a somewhat unfair light. She's far from being lazy, pampered, or a princess of some sort. She's on her feet a lot, grabbing her own snacks, sipping water, and even tossing together some rice for our lunch now and then. She's really quite the team player around the house, always ready to lend a hand when she's feeling good. I often find myself encouraging her to kick back and rest. The real pickle here wasn't about her helping out or not, but about her leaning on me to sort out all of her meals. Reading your comments, I had a bit of an aha moment. She genuinely didn't know what she felt like eating. And to be totally transparent, This food decision deadlock isn't a new game for us. Pre-pregnancy, we'd often volley the "no, you decide" ball until one of us gave in. Now that we've got a baby on the way, I've realized it would be quite irresponsible for both of us to let her go hungry because she can't decide. While technically her responsibility to decide, I've taken it upon myself the following advice here. Overall, I think this is making her feel that I care about her diet and her, and our relationship has improved. I also feel pretty good about our diet now. In a nutshell, we're making progress, she seems more at ease with our meal situation, and I'm feeling pretty good about getting our nutrition on track. I really don't get this post. I understand that their nutrition is lacking and she needs to eat better for the baby, but the post reads as if he's providing meals for a kid who can't make these decisions on their own. She's a grown woman who can make her own nutritional decisions, then execute them. Why can she not make her own meals? Why is she lying in bed and whining about OP not feeding her and expecting him to know what she feels like eating? Why is this his responsibility to read her mind and ensure she's fed? I really can't fathom why OP's wife is blaming him for this. And for her to say that he's invalidating her? How? By asking her to use words and tell him what she wants to eat? Her response of, "Fine, I won't tell you anything anymore," was incredibly immature. He was asking an adult to decide for themselves what they want to eat, and that's her response? As someone who's been pregnant and thrown up throughout her entire pregnancy, I would never have considered telling my husband to figure out what I want to eat. My husband is much like OP and often brought me snacks and cooked food, but I was still responsible for making food decisions for myself because I'm an adult. OP caring about her diet is one thing, but darn was she acting like a helpless kid. Expecting someone to be my personal nutritionist and chef is just way out of line. At the end of the day, it's great he helped her get right on track, but her diet is her responsibility. Am I the jerk for leaving my husband for him and his parents' rude behavior? I, 25 female, have been married to my husband, who's 24 male, for 4 years. The first 2 years of our marriage, we were stationed in North Carolina, but we have since moved to Texas where his family lives. Since moving to Texas, I've gotten to know my in-laws, and what I know is that they are all disrespectful. All of them, almost as if it's hereditary. Here's a few examples. I'm Korean, and my husband's family is Hispanic. My sister-in-law tried bulgogi, which is beef marinated in a sweet sauce, and she actually gagged in front of me when she took a bite out of it, spitting it out and complained that she didn't expect it to taste like that. Every time we go out to eat, my in-laws will run the waiters back and forth asking for special requests and refills. But if they don't like the food or they forget one item that they ordered, they will literally tip the waiter change from our pockets. I'm talking $5 on a $120 bill, even if their service was amazing. If we go into a store or go to the gym and it's about to close, they will be the last people to leave. And not last, as in they close at 9 p.m. and they're leaving at 9 p.m. Last as in they close at 9 p.m. and we're barely walking out the door at 9:15 p.m. Every time an instance like this happens, my husband and I get into it. They usually end with my husband making excuses like that's just the way that his family is, or he doesn't care what other people think, and neither should I. My last straw was when my mother was unexpectedly diagnosed with cancer. I flew back to my home in Korea to take care of her for a while when she was getting her chemo. I stayed for 2 weeks before needing to go back to my home in Texas for work obligations, and can you guess who never once reached out to me the whole time I was there? Yep, my in-laws. Not once did I receive any call or text message, not even when I came back did the topic of my mom come up. My husband told me that he told them about my mom, so I don't understand why no one could have just checked up on me or at least called my mom. The next time we saw my in-laws was the next day I came back from Korea. They were over for dinner. I waited to see what they were going to talk about, and as they continued discussing what cows they wanted to buy, I left to the room and didn't come out for the rest of the night. When they left, my husband angrily confronted me, telling me how disrespectful I was. I honestly didn't even have it in me to fight anymore. I just packed my bags and booked the next flight to Korea. All my husband's and in-laws' messages are being ignored now because I just cannot stand their disrespectful behavior, and to hear my husband calling me disrespectful was enough. Maybe I'm overreacting, but honestly, this behavior is exhausting. I deal with it every time we go out, and I'm done. I don't want to be surrounded by people like this, and I'd rather focus my attention on my mom. Am I the jerk? Update. To clear things up a little, the situation happened over a month ago, and I've been in Korea ever since. My husband and I did not get divorced, but we had talked things out and decided I needed space to take care of my mom first, and whatever problems that we had can be discussed at a better time. As for my in-laws, I haven't spoken to them since. I really wanted to work things out after reading a few of the comments saying my in-laws' behavior is not the fault of my husband. I thought that maybe I was being too judgy over behavior that I'm not used to, that maybe they're not all bad, but they just have a few faults. As for my mom, she hasn't been doing so well. She's been losing a lot of weight because she says that everything she eats tastes like metal, and she's been in constant pain. It's gotten so bad that she can't even get out of bed by herself. On top of that, I'm having a tough time watching my mom struggling and feeling like I don't have anyone on my side during this time, especially since my husband's family still hasn't reached out to me. Last week, my husband reached out to me, telling me that his mom had tonsillitis and was going in for surgery. Reluctantly, I reached out to her and told her that I would be praying and wishing her a safe surgery. I even had the hospital's gift shop send flowers up to her room because I couldn't be there. I figured that maybe they just weren't the type of people to reach out and that I should put whatever happened in the past. My husband expressed how grateful she was and how happy she was to have received the flowers, hoping that I was doing okay in Korea. Unfortunately, I wasn't. Fast forward a week later, my mother's condition had gotten so bad that she lost her battle and passed away. I told my husband what happened, and he was in just as much shock as I was. He said that he was sorry, telling me how much of a good mother she was and how happy she must have been to have me by her side during her last few days. We were preparing to get the funeral done in the next few days, so I asked my husband what day he could be here. He was hesitant on the phone, saying that he felt bad for my mother and all, but he also had his mother to worry about, how he needed to be there for her just like I was here for mine. I was in complete shock and just hung up the phone. He's missing my mother's funeral so he can take care of his mom who has tonsillitis. A week ago. Unbelievable. Any chances I ever thought of giving him were completely out the window. It was insane to believe that he felt like his mom recovering from a very minor surgery was more important than the passing of my mom and his mother-in-law. I'm not saying that tonsillectomy isn't important, but I'm sure she'll recover just fine as it's a very common surgery and the downtime is 1 to 2 weeks, and it's already been a week. As for now, I've hired a lawyer to discuss divorce and I'm going to therapy. I plan on going back to the US to end things with my husband, quit my job, and take my stuff back with me after my mom's funeral. As for his family, I haven't heard from them. Shocking, right? Whatever. I'm just glad to be done with him and his family and that I'll be able to focus on myself and my mental health. Just found out I'm disinherited. I, 35 female, just found out that my sibling and I are cut out of my parents' will. They have millions and plan on leaving it all to charity. My brother and I both pretty much live paycheck to paycheck. Let me be clear, we're in regular contact and we have a good relationship. Maybe not as good as I thought. I'm doing EMDR therapy right now for some issues with how my mom has contributed to me feeling like love is conditional based on my weight and appearance. My dad has a history of severe rage episodes that had me constantly on edge. Honestly, I'm glad they're in good financial spot as they age and I don't have to worry about having money to help them in their old age. My dad has a family history of dementia and may need to be in a home or require at-home nursing care one day. However, my mom remarked to my brother that us kids are getting nothing as they plan on leaving millions to charity. That means that over the rest of their lives, they plan on hoarding their wealth and not spending it on themselves. I've previously told them I hope they spend their money while they are alive. They don't plan on doing this apparently. They plan on continuing to live well below their means and having millions left over when they pass. I know I'm not entitled to their money, it's not mine. If they had nothing to give me, I'd be okay with having nothing. Recently, however, they keep bringing up their net worth to me, which I've been confused as why. I feel like I was never good enough. My parents have said through actions, little digs, and outright, "Your father and I are really disappointed in you," that I'm a failure. Both of us are single without kids. I'm single because I haven't found my person, not because I'm actively not wanting a relationship. My mom is really disappointed about not being a grandma. I'm hurt and I feel like this is going to be their final way of saying they aren't proud of us. I'm happy for them to leave something to charity, but like, all of it? Millions? I really feel like a huge jerk for being upset about this. We are politically on the same side. They aren't super religious and they don't believe I'm going to heck or anything like that. I'm just kind of shocked and confused. I don't know how to navigate my feelings about this and would love some outside perspective. On the one hand, I feel like they're sending me a hurtful message. On the other hand, I don't want to feel disappointed or hurt because it's not my money, and I know that they don't owe me anything. Edit. OMG, I was not expecting this response. Since I don't have a partner, I have no one to lean on. I reached out to a longtime friend and she politely put up a boundary that she cannot support me through this because she has other things going on in her life. I feel like I'm being dumped by everyone I care about, so it's nice to get some support, even if it's from internet strangers. It sounds like they're going for some kind of reaction. You can just keep responding with something like, "I'm glad you're in good financial shape. Given Dad's family history of dementia, he may need to be in a home or require at-home nursing care one day." Probably not what they want to be thinking about, but if their attempt at needling you results in you reminding them of their impending frailty, they might shut up about it. Just remember, OP, you're good enough, and you deserve kinder parents. Do I need to worry about my boyfriend's friendship with his professor? My boyfriend, 24 male, became friends with his former professor, 25 female, sometime last year. I don't know what to make of it. They seem to be friendly and talk consistently every week, and from what he tells me, it's usually very surface level. Sometime last year, after the course ended, my boyfriend, his professor, and some of his male classmates went somewhere to eat together. My boyfriend brought up that he was going to be attending an event, plastic modeling show, and his professor showed interest and invited herself to the event and asked if she could stay at his Airbnb with his friends. My boyfriend and his friends were all okay with it. I unfortunately couldn't attend the event, but from what my boyfriend told me, he and a few of his friends met up at the Airbnb. That same day, his professor comes to my boyfriend's Airbnb and tagged a few of her girlfriends along. I believe they all stayed in the same place. The next day, they go to the event, went to a bar afterwards and got drinks. A lot of them, except my boyfriend, got pretty drunk, and my boyfriend took the liberty of being the designated driver for his professor and her friends. His professor won some model kit from the event, and even in her drunken state, asked my boyfriend if he could stay up with her to work on the kit together. From what my boyfriend tells me, nothing else happened that night. After the event, everyone from that group created a group chat, and they continued to plan and talk about future events together. Since then, my boyfriend and his friends have met up with Professor and got to meet his professor's fiancée at an anime convention, and it sounded like they all got along well. His professor continues to express interest in other events, and it sounds like she may be attending another event with my boyfriend and his friends in the near future. I trust my boyfriend and don't think he's hiding anything from me. Honestly speaking, I think it's hard for me to understand their friendship as it's his professor. I've had a conversation with him on this, and he let me know that I have nothing to worry about. I would like to hear others' opinions and see what y'all think of this friendship. Is this something I need to be concerned about, or is it really nothing? You should go to one of these events with him. OP. I do struggle with social anxiety, so it makes me uncomfortable to be sharing a space with a lot of unknown people. I'm hoping to go to the next event though, since it's local. Her relationship with students is very unprofessional. OP. I'm totally with you. I'm also quite confused at her choice of friends. I'm not sure why of all places does she choose to share an Airbnb with her former student and to be drinking with them. She's classified as an adjunct facility, so she is a professor but is part-time. She works full-time as an accountant. The whole situation just feels weird to me. You say his professor. What is their specific academic connection? She taught him once years ago and now they're roughly equals and friends? Or she's his primary support for a PhD, or what? OP. The first option. She taught him last year and now they're friends. He's no longer in a course with her. I totally understand how it's possible for students and their professors to be friendly, but I've never heard or seen of a friendship where you consistently talk and hang out together so casually. So she's no longer his professor. They're two adults of the same age and power level. OP. It kinda gives me the same vibes like if a student graduated high school and is friends with their young teacher. Obviously not the same, but a student-teacher relationship is there. I think as a teacher, you should still uphold that level of professionalism and mentorship, even if you're no longer the student's teacher. I also want to note that they are technically not equals, since they're both in relationships. She can't be acting however she wants with former students. Update. My boyfriend and I had a more heart-to-heart talk regarding his teacher, and he recognizes that it crossed some of my boundaries. He believes that she may be behaving this way she does because when she hangs out with her fiancé's friends, she gets bored with them and may possibly be seeking attention from others. Several weeks later, my boyfriend had a conversation with his college instructor regarding their friendship and told her how I didn't feel comfortable with their friendship and how he thinks they should keep communication at a minimum. She brought up how she understands because her fiancé also had an issue with how she chose to share an Airbnb with my boyfriend. She mentions to my boyfriend that she sees him as a brother and that's why she feels really comfortable with him, but that she will try to respect my boyfriend's wishes of keeping conversations at a minimum. Well, even after that talk, she continues to still message my boyfriend weekly on random life updates. And because she's also part of my boyfriend's chat and Discord, one of his friends invited her to attend another plastic modeling show. It occurred recently, and dinner. Since she accepted the invitations, I chose to attend as well so that I could personally meet her. The dinner occurred first, and it was very uncomfortable because she practically ignored me the entire night. When she joined us at the table, she greeted my boyfriend but didn't say anything to me. Even my boyfriend noticed and got annoyed, but then introduced us. She got increasingly drunk throughout the night and was saying random stuff about my boyfriend to his friends like, "He could have been the best student in my class, but it's 'cause he missed some assignment," and "He gave me a 5-star review on Rate My Professor." She ended up not going to the show, but my boyfriend had a chat with his guys, and they told him that they want to respect my feelings too and make it a guys' night next time. I would like to hear others' opinions and see if you also think she's acting suspicious. She wants to hook up with your boyfriend. She's crossing major boundaries. Has he stopped conversation with her? OP. I wouldn't be surprised if that is her intention, because there's definitely some shady people out there. I agree, she is crossing some professional and personal boundaries, and I think it's quite unusual behavior for any teacher to act like that. Yes, he has stopped communicating with her. She was consistently messaging him until last week. So, hopefully she got the memo. The fact that she ignored the girlfriend all night after meeting her says it all. When I meet a friend's girlfriend for the first time, I make sure to make her feel included and welcome. This woman very obviously has some other motives, and I don't usually jump to that conclusion. My Karen sister keeps having babies that she can't afford. I'm 27, female, and my sister, who's 29, never wanted to get married. She just doesn't like the marriage thing. Nothing wrong with that. But she still wanted to have kids, so she had a baby with her long-term boyfriend. Well, her boyfriend doesn't do anything to help her. He doesn't work, he gets disability. His issue has long since resolved, but he still collects somehow. So he pays for some bills, but not much. He doesn't help with housework, and he barely helps her with their now 1.5-year-old. He just plays video games all day. I've seen it when I come over to babysit. My sister works from home, so she will be on a wireless headset having a conference call with the baby on her hip while she's cleaning the kitchen, and her boyfriend will be playing video games in the living room. And that's the situation every time I come over, and my sister tells me that that's what it's always like. I work full-time as a nurse, so I come over to help when I can, but I also work third shift, and my sister lives almost 2 hours away, so it's hard for me to help a lot. She's gotten mad at me several times for not helping babysit enough. I had a 2-week vacation last winter, and she got mad at me for not babysitting a whole lot while I was on vacation. I want to help out because I love her and my niece, but I work a lot too, and the drive is long, and I'm just tired a lot. Well, 2 weeks ago we were talking, and she told me that she and her boyfriend were going to try for another baby soon. Oh no. We're going to try for another baby soon, and if things work out, they were hoping to have another baby by next Thanksgiving. I said to her, "Are you sure it's a good idea to have a second baby when your boyfriend barely helps you with the first one?" It just blurted out of my mouth. She got all defensive and tried to tell me that he does help some, but I reminded her that she tells me all the time how he doesn't help, and I've seen for myself how he just plays video games while she does everything. She got really mad and said, "Well, maybe if you helped more, then it wouldn't seem like everything is on my shoulders." After some back and forth arguing, I got up and left. She told our mom what I said, and our mom got all mad at me, saying I was a jerk for upsetting my sister, and my brother got on to me about it too. I don't think I was a jerk though. I'm not so sure at this point. Not the jerk. Generally, my stance is that only the people having the kids get to decide if and when to procreate. But since she feels entitled to your time and effort as a babysitter as part of her childcare plans, you get to put in your 2 cents. Reach back out and say, "I'm sorry that I did not react well to your plans for another baby. That's a decision between you and your boyfriend, and I should not have provided unsolicited advice. However, I want to make clear that if my participation as a babysitter for your kids is being factored into your decision, consider this fair warning that I will not babysit for you again if you have a second kid. Whether or not you have kids is your choice, whether or not I help care for them is mine. I will be present in your kids' lives if you want me to be, but not in a caregiving role." Not the jerk. How does she have more anger reserved for you, who lives 2 hours away, than for her deadbeat boyfriend? You need to take yourself completely out of the picture. Do not help this ungrateful person with anything anymore, and just ignore these tantrums. Maybe if you helped her more, then it wouldn't seem like everything is on her shoulders? Tough love time. It's supposed to be on your shoulders, you and your partner, not mine. You will be taking care of your kid by yourself from here on out. Then if you want another baby, knock yourself out. Not the jerk, and immediately stop supporting her. She's using you, and she's not going to get it unless she figures it out for herself. It's a mercy to her for you to stop providing for her. She needs to learn. You're the jerk. This isn't your call, but you don't have to be an enabler either. You've created a scenario where the true impact of her decisions, having a baby and dealing with a useless boyfriend, really had low consequences because you were always there. Stop it. Apologize and say it really isn't your call and you were wrong to weigh in and be judgmental. From now on, be very busy with your life and see your niece occasionally. Your sister needs to see how her life really is rather than the way that you've made it for her. Remember, no more babysitting. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her sister? Please let us know. Never stay with a deadbeat and definitely don't have kids with them. It really is a bad idea to make a government employee angry. This one is a double government employee event, and what you should know is that if you get the attention of a government employee and make them angry, that they will make your life miserable. The setup is that I was working for a local county government in the permitting department that handled drainage and floodplain enforcement. I received a complaint from a homeowner, a nice guy, lived next door to a house that was part of an incorporated village, not a nice guy. Nice guy lived in an unincorporated portion of the county, and hence the call to me as an agent of the county. I drove out to the site and to investigate, and I discovered some interesting facts. The permitting agent for the village allowed the incorporated homeowner to fill his lot, affecting the drainage, which caused the unincorporated lot to flood every time there was anything more than a little rain. Nice guy indicated that there was some tension between him and the not nice guy, and part of the issue was that nice guy and his partner were a gay couple. This ran up a red flag for me, but in trying to be impartial, I took the information and some photos for the file and indicated that I would contact the village to find a resolution. I wrote a letter and then called the village inspector, Jack Wagon, to discuss. I was told by Jack Wagon that the village could do as it pleased and that I could do nothing to stop not nice guy from doing as they pleased, as it was approved by the village. There was then a comment about the type of people making complaints just to cause trouble. I was now on the case, and it was time to make sure everything done on the incorporated lot was 100% legal. At this point, the game certainly was now on, because if there's one thing that grinds my gears, it's bullying. I went back out and spoke to Nice Guy to let them know what I was up to, and also that I was not going to let this slide. I then started investigating the elevations on the two lots and what fill had been placed on the incorporated lot. The not nice guy came out and started getting belligerent about my presence and ongoing investigation. He incorrectly stated that I did not have jurisdiction over his lot and that he would be calling the police. I patiently listened and then pulled out my two-way radio and requested that the home base dispatch both a village and a county police unit to the location. I then indicated that since there was a regulatory floodplain on his lot, I did in fact have jurisdiction, and that I would be exercising my right to determine the impact of his fill activities upon that floodplain. Both of the police units showed up, and I let them know what was going on. They were both appropriately agitated to have to waste their time and let not nice guy know that I was within my authority to proceed with the investigation. A little while later, while I was measuring things, Jack Wagon showed up. He started berating me about harassing the villager resident and threatening calling my boss and filing a complaint and so forth. I invited him to do so, quoting which parts of the code he should indicate I was violating. I was using marking point to show the limits of the floodplain for the photos for the file, and what do you know, Jack Wagon's shoe got painted when he tried to stop me. Obviously, he was even more angry, as was the homeowner, due to very bright orange paint in the grass in his yard. I pointed out I had done the same on the neighbors' lots, but they just kept complaining. It was actually marking chalk that comes off pretty easily. Interestingly, I found two really wrong things on Not Nice Guy's lot. 1. There was fill placed in the floodplain, and 2. A garden shed was built on the fill and partially within the floodplain. Both are a big no-no and are actually against federal law. So the course of action had two parts. 1. Make the incorporated homeowner remove the fill and shed from the floodplain, and 2. Let Nice Guy place fill in their lot outside of the floodplain to counteract the fill remaining in Not Nice Guy's lot outside of the floodplain. I also told Nice Guy it would be a good idea to run a field tile on their side to drain the water that would inevitably pond up between the two lots when it rained. Predictably, Not Nice Guy and Jackwagon got super angry when I sent the letter out that there were violations that either had to be corrected, remove the fill in the shed, or apply a revision of the floodplain with the Army Corps of Engineers. Good luck with that. This then led to a meeting at the county office with Not Nice Guy, Jackwagon, my supervisor, and myself. Quickly, things went to 11, and there was yelling by Jackwagon about abuse of power, etc. The department head came into the conference room and told them both they were wrong and that they should leave peacefully and comply or face the consequences, the fines. The best part was that Not Nice Guy had to apply for a permit, and guess who was the one to review and approve it? That's right, yours truly. Now, I was following the letter of the law, but you have to know that poor government workers are underpaid and overworked. Strangely, the permit for Nice Guy was almost immediately approved, while Not Nice Guy had to have a very thorough review to ensure it was correct. You could make a case I was abusing my power, but I can assure you that the timing for their review was well within acceptable limits. Also, how could I be held to account that they misfiled 3 times before they finally got it right? Generally, if you behaved like a civil human and came to the office, we would help you get things done properly so the permit would go through first time. But Not Nice Guy decided he could do it all on his own, so it took him 3 times. Had he come to the office, I would have given him the same service as others, but he decided to take the hard route, and therefore I didn't give a single inch when it came to the submission being perfectly correct. Ultimately, the situation was resolved, but it took a lot more effort than it should have. Moral of the story, don't be an entitled jerk. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.